If you remember, Barkley never won an NBA championship. Neither will you.
Hey, it's good to be here. Best to not know you, and if I did, I'll answer when this is over whether it was glad or I am glad, on whether it was to know you or best not to. And you'll know if what I'm saying right now is our separate ways are meant to be when I go mine at the end of this, and you go in whatever direction yours truly is. At this time, I'm going to ask you to take a seat, and then ask myself the question, does it matter either way? Well, you tell me, and think of it as a warm-up to what follows after proving you do in fact know what the word rhetorical means. Rhetorical. Do you know what that means? Because those people who submitted their answers in the traditional manner, as we humans have been conditioned to blindly do, with one-word noises out of cardboard faces that are most certainly attentive and anxious to hear proof that dogs really are man's best friend. My name's Pavlov, like the one in the story about you, and I am here to administer the only test that counts in your life when pertaining to you as a person, not a dog. So sit upright. Remember I asked? And that OS that boots you up every morning, let it take over. Now, how many people only heard two letters that in no way or any lifetime, which includes memory of a past one and or Buddhist plan for the one waiting for you directly after this one, or a life that's less lived or worth dying for, as just another that gets chalked up as simply another, very simple, waste of good chalk and unanswered questions circling around in my head, in the same fashion that they would and did as I asked why to myself before suiting up to be in front of you, when I was me, before becoming the Russian example and speaking in a language that Westerners use as their cue to change the channel. Tits, ass, cocaine, video games, hamburgers, Iowa test of basic skills, answer sheets, directions to where the cheapest sex slavery dens are on this side of the border. Nobody wants the American slaves working off their fake visas in Juarez through blowjobs and bukkake. Why the hell do you think they jumped the border in the first place? And the words should be included to solidify and make sure that you're gonna stick around and include yourself in today's activities. Nigger, kikes, and cunt will be swapping places with equality, Hollywood, and wives, or wife. For an example, Denzel Washington was spotted in Hollywood walking with his wife. Now that would be replaced with another nigger was Cotton Kikewood with my cunt wife. As you can see, the PC has been skewed to interest you. Now, did I reel you back in, or lose it all with way too much shock and very little value? Or did I just ask that to serve as a precursor for me segueing right back to here? Now you're stuck, fucked, and don't worry, not out of luck, it's almost over. Do you tell yourself that same statement and really mean it more than any times a week? Do you find it comforts you? It makes you feel a little more alive to know that the end is right around the corner. What do you know about a corner? What do you know about a lot of things? Do you tell people or feel the need to let others know that you're good at conversation, and by saying that, you're also a smart person, and following that, or proceeding, as you would say, or a post past the precursor to the previous statements would be a bit of an outline. You still have maybe, no, you never have, but you think you have, you act like you say, that you have mastered, as mastery is also on that list, along with Aikido. Do you like to do Aikido? How many of you tell a fish story? How many of you know what a fish story is? How many of you just thought of the movie Big Fish and then thought it was a swell story but not enough sex? How many of you are turned off by any movie that doesn't have sex? How many of you are making a face like, not me? And how many of you really said, that's me? Because if anybody said, that's me, then you're addicted to pornography and you've already been weeded out. You need to kick that habit. A little bit of anything, not bad. But you in fact cannot do anything, even watch a movie, if it doesn't have your fix. That's horrible and you will die. That's like a heroin addict not being able to eat dinner without munching on some heroin. No, even they eat dinner. You're just fucked. You're sick and you need help. Get on heroin. At least then you could watch a movie. Right now, I don't even know how you withhold and contain in the matter without some sort of nuclear fusion going on because you're not of this earth. How many of these people are sitting right next to somebody that's not of this earth and may very well spontaneously combust into a pile of hell dust nuclear fusion mixed with boson particles and some other shit Stephen Hawking made up to justify him not being any more retarded than how he looks? How many of you people hear the name Stephen Hawking and just think what he says is right? How many of you people have been to the universe beyond the stars? How many of you people have seen Starman? How many of you people fucking like Jeff Bridges? How many of you people have been further into the universe and across the stars than Neil Armstrong? How many of you people even got as far as Buzz Aldrin? How many of you people know what the second law of thermodynamics thermodynamics is? How many of you people think that you're dynamic and or that laws we make hold any sway beyond our atmosphere? How many of you people just said yes because what we say goes? Well, how many people didn't take a physics course and don't understand what gravity does? It holds shit down. How many people are thinking about space and stuff flying away? How many people know that anything made on this earth used to gravity and the pull that it has wouldn't stand a damn nanosecond out there in the great beyond? It would go into the abyss. How many people dare to judge me or get quantum with me? How many people thought of rehab when they heard the word quantum? How many people read The Secret? How many people laid in their dark bedroom on the basement floor and manifested some shit? How many people did it actually work for? You are optimistic. How many of you like the word optimistic? How many of you know any other word that sounds just as good that you are able to use in a sentence right now? And how many just moved to the next popular therapeutic buzzword of the decade that we can thank none other than behemoths looking to justify their presence and mass on this planet that the rest of us take up 1/3 as much space, and by saying that consume 1/3 as much everything, and by saying that have a reason put anybody who meets the qualifications of what in fact is a behemoth, then life in the outside world around anybody who doesn't meet the criteria might be a little tough. It might make you a little self-conscious. How many of you are self-conscious? How many of you know the two things that I'm talking about? How many of you are stating the only question you really ask 56 times a day? Abbreviated. WTF. Oprah Winfrey, just to name one. But to name one behemoth is like naming 3 Ricky Lakes at the point when she wasn't quite a behemoth. But now, since I named Ricky Lake, it's like I named 6 of me, or 32 Callista Flockharts. How many of you people thought that bombed? How many of you people thought that I dropped a bomb? How many of you people are thinking about making a bomb? How many of you people think that you can do what Ted Kaczynski did? You're better than him. How many of you people simply say, all I have to do is look crazy, grow a beard, and run off to the great beyond? How many of you people can write? How many of you people can read? How many of you people have written a manifesto and or know what a manifesto is? And how many of you people have ever tried to go more than 5 days without shaving your beard? And speaking of beards, how many professors do you know that teach at Harvard? How many people do you know that have gone to Harvard? Do you know anybody that's made it through Harvard? That would be quite an accomplishment to know at least that person and to say, I know somebody that did that better than Bill Gates or that Facebook guy. How many people still think their name will live on when they drop the bomb? How many people know that before he dropped the bomb or wrote the manifesto, he went to Harvard, Ted Kaczynski? So to get Kaczynski with it, you in fact would have to at least get accepted to Harvard to be on his level. The Unabomber, Ted, the same one which all talks are based off of, TED Talks. And he started with the manifesto, and he started at Harvard, and he started from people messing with him. And how many people understand that not the Harvard part, but the TED Talks thing? I'm messing with you. How many people are gullible? How many people can shrug it off? How many people like to get off? And how many people tend to get themselves off with more than a shrug, but kind of like a tug? How many people realize that an email bomb is not the same as a letter bomb? So how many people understand what a parcel is? How many people know anything about ignition fuses or timers that Die Hard 1 hasn't taught you? How many people have graduated high school, have got their GED, written anything past the last ounce of school they had to suck down? How many people say life sucks? How many people need something to look up to? How many people want to look up to somebody? How many people want to have a reason? How many people already know that from what I just said, Ted Kaczynski is somebody to look up to because he's done everything you couldn't do, but with enough time, perseverance, and crazy, you just might. Give it time. How many people are going to give it time? How many people like the cliche or the saying, it'll work out in the end? How many people are thinking of the Bible and a quote, this too shall pass? How many people read too many posters on counselors' walls? How many people do all their reading off things that are on walls and that's it? How many people know where to get GHB? How many people have friends online that you jerk off with and you call them a jerk off buddy? How many people talk about current events and the latest odds, ends, and gossip with that same guy? How many of you guys are looking at another guy's cock, talking about current events while stroking your cock and being able to retain that information, compute it in your head, and answer in a logical and thought out way that conveys that you were really paying attention and you are one of note and mention when it comes to conversations and your ability to have a clear and concise and doggone good one. How many people are the reason we have conversations when you're talking to that friend on your lunch hour? How many people go longer than the hour? How many people pay for America Online to do all this? How many people got mail? How many people know what the fuck I'm talking about? How many people just started using computers when they just started making them easy? How many people remember what a BBS is? How many people pose as a girl online so that they can secretly extract dick pics from other men? And how many people have done it to their brother or their friend? How many people are looking at their friend again right now saying, let me see your pictures? How many people have friends that won't let them see their pictures? How many friends think that they're being played for a fool when the pictures are shown, but it's the obvious fake vault that he's showing you and not the real place where all the pictures are going? Because you were the one that recommended this to him just for situations exactly like this. And now he's playing you for a fool. How many of you want to beat the shit out of him with the sledgehammer? Go to the garage. They'll have something to fit the build. Hey, good to be here. Glad to not know you because I got a couple questions and it's best if we remain impartial. How many of you people know what impartial means? How many of you are just nodding your head, acting like I know what that means, but really you're only doing it to impress the person that's to the left or right of you? Or more importantly, to feed that sick narcissism engine that makes you go, I think I can, I know I did every day. It was for the guy behind you because maybe this was being played in a lecture hall and or auditorium where a lot of people gathered around. How many people were like, huh, and gave a little half smirk, condescending looking smile when I just said that because of how ridiculous that could have ever been, as it was impossible. How many people know how many syllables is in that word? I'll count to 4, giving you time to think. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. Do you need more? How many people quickly were able to rhyme 4 with more and not think of whore as the next word they could use to continue the next big number one hit in sentences that nobody wants to listen to? How many people are listening to me and not at work? How many people feel me patting you on the back right now with a glove on? How many people use gloves when you carry lie? How many people know what I'm talking about when I talk about lie? How many people are lying in the sense that they're lying and not telling the truth, therefore fibbing about the knowledge or knowing or using because it would be misusing unless they were hoping somebody would ever want to believe they were into soaping, but there's only one Tyler Durden, which they are not, so you're just a killer, a serial one at that carries lie around. You sick fuck. How many of you are sick fucks? How many of you killed cats? I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. Let's take a lie detector. We're gonna go quick. It's a new age type of thing. It's a millennial experiment meant for everybody, not just the millennials. I just took their word because it's hip. How many of you know what hip is? How many of you have a beard? How many of you drink natural ice and call it natty ice and know what it is and enjoy it? Or they drink Pabst. How many of you know what Pabst is? How many of you like Pabst? How many of you consider Pabst a quality brew with just enough hops? How many of you are hopping fucking mad that I'm saying this? How many of you prefer the iPhone to anything Android because it's Apple? And, well, it's Apple. How many of you know that that's just a retarded answer that merits no response other than a fist in the middle of your face, compounding, then going back and hitting again until it goes all the way through your oblong melon-shaped head? How many of you thought about melons right then, and or the movie City of God from the reference, had a chuckle, and then thought about a couple other things that go down in Brazil that don't include God, just a city? How many of you know what the fuck I'm talking about? Or how many of you were just thinking about some Anne Heche movie? How many of you are named John or Mike? How many of you are named Mike? How many of you are out there being douchey and giving me a bad name? How many of you fucks don't even know that you're being douchey? This is a test for men. It is a proficiency in life and your ability to find a place in it which shall prove adaptability, and times that with a little growth, put some nurture on top, and then stomp it down with some good old-fashioned Nietzschean truths, because whatever doesn't kill you will only make you strong, and this right here is meant to do just that. Shall I begin with only asking that you answer honestly, or to the best of your ability on whatever thought process might tell you to answer another way, something more typical of you. If you have a friend around, only that much better. Peace, goodwill, and best of luck. This is the human test, the one every guy should take so that he can be able to understand the person he really is. Many of you pay for everything you're significant other has to do to not live in a fucking box, or shit out in the stream, or piss in that same stream, or eat around that same stream, or work on the side of